Hi, I'm Craig Dalton, your Citrus County Property Appraiser. Welcome to episode 1. We're very excited about this. This is what we're calling the CCPA Playbook. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, I've always been asked why we do things in our office, how we do things in our office. We also come across a lot of misunderstandings, whether it be in sound off, whether it be on social media, whether it be out at community events. I don't know how many times in the last 4.5 years I've had people come up to me and say, just don't raise our taxes. I just don't need you to raise our taxes. Or I don't want you to raise the millage rate. Again, these are all things that I've just been battling for the last 4.5 years with our office. And I can assure you the Property Appraiser's office for decades has been fighting this. I'm sure it's not just Citrus County, it's all over Florida, probably all over the country. With the rising landscape of the changing of our community, we feel like it's time to take that next step. I have really pushed our community outreach department to reach all of the different avenues and streets and neighborhoods and communities to talk more about homestead exemption, to talk more about how we create or establish values. That's very important. How you can change your address or how you can protect yourself from fraudulent activity. And so with our partners, with the Citrus County Chronicle, with Hometown Values, with the Gazette, with the Pinnacle, all of the HOAs that we've gone to, the Kiwanis, the Rotaries, even the Chamber has asked us to come and talk. We will do it. We have done it. I will continue to do that. We actually call in on the first Friday of every month. At least we try. We try our best to call into the radio station and just talk with Steve or Richard. Richard, I believe is his name. And we try to make relationships. We try to build those relationships with those individuals that can help us get the message out. You may have even seen our advertisements on the side of county buses because it's that important. We go out and speak to veterans groups. And so this is just that next step, right? And so we were calling it the CCPA Playbook. That's what it's called today. It may change. And so really what I want to do is I want to bring in employees of our organization that talk about specific things, that talk about specific departments. And so you can better understand what we do. We can sit here and write an article all day long. We can sit here and write videos or do videos all day long. And it may not sink in, but if you hear from the experts that work in the field, such as Director Rick Fritz for our GIS department, such as Director Kelly Carpenter for our customer service department, who's over exemptions, whether it's Dan Robbins, who's our assistant property appraiser over values, whether it's Rosa Scalzi, who could even talk about our hiring practices or our budget, because how we do our budget is going to be different than how your other taxing authorities do their budgets. So we will also bring in some guests from other counties. I have a friend of mine who is, I believe he's a chief deputy down in Palm Beach County. I think what's interesting to talk to Cecil Jackson about could be, he was an assessor up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and now he works down in Palm Beach County for the Honorable Dorothy Jacks down there. And so I think it'd be interesting to get a take on kind of comparing North Carolina's practices to Florida's per se, because I can tell you all the citizens trainings that we do, we are constantly having people who are not from Florida move to Citrus County, and they just don't know how we do things, and they just are elated when they leave. And so this CCPA Playbook podcast, video, live stream, whatever words you want to call it, is really just another tool in our toolbox to reach our citizens of Citrus County. And so that's very, very important. We have a lot of great guests lined up to be on future episodes. And so we will release those on many platforms. I hope you follow us on our Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel. We do have an Instagram. And so we will get this out as many different ways as possible. Again, this is episode 1. So there may be some hiccups. I hope not. I hope that you find this to be a valuable tool. I know that it's something that we're really excited about. We're really looking forward to it. You can always reach out. Any of our listeners or viewers can reach out to Megan McGuire. She's our marketing communications coordinator. If there's a topic specifically that you would like to hear about, we would like to do that. I would like to introduce a video series that we're going to continue to do with our director, Rick Fritz. He is our GIS guru. He's been doing it for literally 30 years. If you go to our YouTube channel, and I'm sure somewhere on the screen, we may even have the handle for you. You can see that he can show you how to do different things on our website. And so he's going to continue those. Another video episode that we could be doing is how to e-file, right? When I first took office here 4.5 years ago, we had about 30% e-file and then 70%-ish walk-in rate. And now we're about 50-50 ish. And so we would really like for you to know how to do that from home. I was helping a fellow citizen the other day how to do that e-file. And so it's just a much easier thing to do. So we will have a bunch of different videos. And so this is just step one, right? This is step one of our playbook. I really hope you enjoy it. And so I hope that, again, you share it, you watch it, comment, leave us comments. We love the feedback. We would appreciate the feedback. We are very, very excited to have all of our future guests. And we'll be back in just a minute. Hey, so welcome back. We appreciate you listening to our intro on why we're doing the CCPA Playbook. We're super, super excited. Today with me, I have Darren Pillsbury. He is our assistant property appraiser. His scope specifically is for our IT department, our deeds department, and our GIS department.
And tax roll.
And tax roll. I don't know how I could forget tax roll. Darren, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So as we're walking into Thursday, we're in Thursday, just a few days away from Memorial Day. Definitely want to thank you for your service. We are representing today, Darren is an Air Force veteran, and I am a Navy veteran, so we can kind of battle it out on which branch is better. But what's interesting about that is I was actually born on an Air Force base.
There you go.
So it's kind of in my blood.
Okay.
It's kind of in my blood. Blytheville, Arkansas, United States Air Force Base.
Okay.
Not even there anymore. Maybe because when the Daltons left, they were like, we got to get rid of
shut it down.
We got to shut this down. We don't need C-130s anymore. We'll shut that thing down. But so he's got his Air Force coffee mug, and I've got the Navy Yeti. So we got to represent that. But I think what's awesome is, so Darren is basically the assistant property appraiser over the back of the house, represents the Air Force. The other assistant property appraiser is an Army veteran. So he gets to represent us on the front of the house type stuff. Mm-hmm. So he, for those that don't know, that his name is Dan Robbins. So super excited to have both those U.S. military veterans part of our staff. We actually have another one, Steve Kuznar, who is an Army veteran. Mm-hmm. He is an appraiser for us. And then we have basically 3 sets of families. So we have 3 families that currently have active duty sons mm-hmm. in the military. Your son was actually in the Air Force. Right. I know he's kind of working his way to get back in. So that's super awesome. Mike and Lori Farrington's son, Casey Farrington, is in the Air Force, stationed overseas right now. I believe he's in Germany, right? Mm-hmm. Germany. And then we have Casey Witten, who is the son of Carl and Kim Witten. He is a United States Marine, right now currently stationed at MacDill. So he's at least close by. And then, who am I missing? We have Witten. Oh, yeah. Herb and Angie Mack's son, Kane, is in Alabama. Fort Rucker?
Not sure.
One of those Army bases, but he's a jump master. He's one of those guys. He jumps out perfectly good.
airplanes.
and helicopters and stuff. And so that's super awesome. So happy Memorial Day. I hope we hope you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, remembering the fallen, spending time with your family when you're out barbecuing those hamburgers and swimming in your pools. Make sure you're remembering those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Um, so let's talk about that. Right, you were in the Air Force,
Right.
Straight out of high school. Did you?
Yes.
Straight out of high school.
Yeah, I had a job at Publix that I worked while I was in high school, and then for a while afterwards. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of time between high school and the Air Force. About a year.
So did all four boys work at Publix? Because I know two of them did.
Yes.
All four of them?
No, Parker did not. So three of the four boys.
Three of the four followed your footsteps in Publix. And then that's funny.
Yeah.
But Tyler worked in Publix and Hayden. Is Hayden still there?
He is.
He's still there. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So you were Publix and then you went to the Air Force?
Right.
Awesome. How many years did you do in the Air Force?
About 7.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
And then, so you get out and then kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So I'll back up just a little bit.
Sure.
While I was in, I got married. And
speaking of that, you have a wedding anniversary coming up, right?
I do.
All right. That's good guy help there to help you not forget that.
Yeah. Don't want to forget that.
No.
Yeah.
So you get married, beautiful bride, Lynn.
That's right. And then we both went to college while I was on active duty, and we both got our bachelor's degrees while we were in, and then we made the decision to, get out of the Air Force, come back closer to home where family is, and get jobs and kind of get after it.
So both of you were from Citrus County, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Lynn was actually born in Citrus County at CMH, and that's where she works for over 30 years, too. So, kind of cool.
So, where were you born?
Clearwater.
Clearwater. I gotcha.
I am a Florida native, or cracker, or however you want to say it.
Yeah, I get kind of thrown off on that because everybody's like, Craig, you're not a Florida cracker, you weren't born here. But my family really literally was like raised here, and it's my dad's fault because he was in the Air Force and I was born in Arkansas. And so I can't help that. So I consider myself a cracker, but that's a fight for another day, I guess.
Right.
But I just tell people I'm from Florida.
There you go.
That sounds good. So you do 7.5 years. You both get your degrees. Her degree, she's in nursing, and then you get your degree in IT.
Right.
And then y'all come back, and so she applies and starts working at CMH, and then you apply here.
Yes, but the other way around, right? So I was hired first in May of 1995.
Always the competitor, Darren. I didn't mean to put that in that order. Okay. So you actually beat her in getting a job when y'all came back. I'm sure she'll appreciate that. So you get a job here at the Property Appraiser's office, right. And then Lynn gets her job.
Yeah.
And then you have never worked anywhere else.
Correct.
And neither has Lynn.
Correct.
And that's
unheard of.
That is unheard of. Because I'm trying to go back in my 30 years of working, and I've probably got 15 jobs,
right?
20 jobs.
I think most normal people have more than one job.
But do you think that when you were in the Air Force, you knew that you wanted that? Now you got hired on in the IT department because your degree's in what?
IT.
Right. And so that's something that you knew you wanted to do.
Right. Because the job I had when I was in the Air Force was an aircraft mechanic or crew chief. And so I went to school at night while I did the Air Force thing. And then once I got further along with my degree and studies, and then even before I graduated with my degree, I started doing IT work in the Air Force. I was one of very few people that kind of understood it or got it, because in the early 90s, like 92, 93, the internet was hardly even a thing.
Right.
Databases, programmers, people that knew anything about computers.
Were they still feeding the paper into the printer out of the box?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I did a lot of IT work while I was in the Air Force. I was still considered a mechanic, but I just did IT things.
Right.
Um, and so you know, when I got out of the Air Force, I knew that that's the path I wanted to take.
And just so everybody that's listening or watching us know, what I want everybody to kind of understand is that yes, you can build a house, or yes, you can have land that's been there for a long time, but at the beginning, or even at the end of a tax roll or whatever, IT's important. And so I guess that's I'm curious, and the reason why I ask you kind of the build up to that is, what did the technology in the Citrus County Property Appraiser's office look like then compared to what it is now?
Right. So that was kind of the reason I was hired. That's why the position was open
Right.
in the first place. Was um, in the '90s, early '90s, there was just mainframe technology, and that was the old green screens you see on the old movies, and the data reels that are going around, and all of that. And the mainframe was very limited. It was good at what it did, but it was limited in getting data out for analysis, or ad hoc reporting and things like that. So the position was advertised. I came in, interviewed, and the property appraiser at the time said, I want you to get us off of this thing into the more modern um, technologies and database, and so on and so forth. And that's how it was. So it was by today's standards very archaic. Um, but we did make leaps forward with the technology, getting off of the mainframe, getting into the more modern databases, which allows us to query data and create reports and do things a lot quicker than before.
Yeah, so that's going to be my question, right? Is what you are doing assisting the appraisers to do their job more efficiently, right? Because we always talk about, and out in the community, that we want to make sure that we're fair and equitable across the board. And if you have just human calculators doing it, that's one thing. But in the '90s, which is probably how it was, right? I mean, our maps were probably literally on still and paper.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that as
Yeah,
well. That was another huge um, step forward, because all of the maps were just that. They were in hanging files, they were paper maps. The aerial photography at the time was flown and developed and put on mylar sheets, and each square mile of imagery was sliced up into quadrants, and we would have cabinet after cabinet of hanging aerials, and we would have people come in, whether it's developers or realtors or just property owners, and say, I need an aerial view of my house or property. And it was a process. It was, you would have to you have to find the aerial in the right cabinet, get it out. And if you wanted it overlaid with the line work, then you'd have to get a paper map and line it up on the aerial imagery, tape it, run it through a blue line printer to make a copy of that for the end user or for the customer that came in. And so, yeah, things back then were just a lot slower. Just getting the area of a parcel, you had to run a very archaic tool. Rick may argue with me, but at the time I think it's called the planometer. And
common spelling,
yeah.
right?
um, Basically, it's like a pen. You reset the distance on it, and then you trace the outline of the parcel with this pen, and it would calculate the area of that polygon. And so it was just everything was slow and mechanical and manual. And so there were efforts put in place to kind of marry the CAMA data, the appraisal data, with the mapping data.
So CAMA, computer assisted mass appraisals.
Correct.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So when any of our staff kind of throw out an acronym that we're used to saying, I'll try to explain what that is. With CAMA, with what he's talking about with CAMA, really is how we're able to appraise, 150,000 parcels at once. And now it's it's a lot more complicated than that. I'm just putting it out there. But so when he's talking about marrying the CAMA data, the values, and with the ratios and stuff, then that's what that's for. But you're talking about all those maps, the hanging maps. The first thing I thought of is, what if there was a fire? There was no backup. Like, you just had one set of maps, right?
Correct.
So if there was a building fire or a structure fire, those maps would just be gone.
Yes.
And I remember being at a IAAO conference, the association that covers our industry around the world, in Chicago, and the Chicago assessor was there. I can't the county. I can't remember the name of the county, and he said, and so this was only 4 years ago when I was there, and they were still, mostly everything that they had in this specific county was still on the paper form, and in boxes in a warehouse. And so if they needed something, they would just go to this warehouse and get it. I don't know how I would be scared out of my mind that there would be a fire.
Right.
And so, I think that's, coming in, when you came in the 90s, you were brought in to kind of bring us up technology wise. And I think that, it's going to be interesting to hear your stories about, your transition from the 90s to the 2000s to the 2010s to where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of work. We had very forward thinking property appraiser at the time.
Sure.
Who kind of pushed the limits of what we could do at the time. And basically, we found a way to bring those two technologies together. And to make it quick and easy to understand, we basically scanned all of the paper maps. We geo-referenced them, and then we put a XY coordinate or centroid on every parcel. And then with that, you could tie the XY coordinate of the geometry or the map back to the CAMA system.
Which is but now that's kind of used a lot, right, in your Garmin's and your GPS units. But when you were doing this back in the 90s, with, like you said, your forward-thinking property appraiser at the time, I think one of my favorite quotes is, "It's always impossible till it's done."
Right.
Right, and then it's no longer impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And so you all, with you at the helm, are you a part of a team that was bringing the Citrus County Property Appraiser's office forward?
Right. Yeah, and then we came up with the. Some people may remember the PIERS disc. It stood for Property Information Retrieval System. And what we did is we took that technology, we took the property appraiser's database, the CAMA data, put it on a CD-ROM with all of the scanned maps, built a viewer, and then you were able to take that CD-ROM, throw it in a laptop, and you could go out in the field, and then every realtor, homeowner, whoever wanted it, had all of the information, all of the maps, and the ability to click the map and it would pull up the data, or vice versa. You go from the data to the map. And we did that from 97 until 2008.
You were on that system.
Well,
so all your field appraisers had laptops at that time?
No, this was actually used more by title companies, realtors.
I gotcha.
We had the same system on our network internally, so they didn't take it with them. They would, do their routing and print stuff out and then go into the field. But that was a huge step forward. We actually went around and kind of did some presentations at the IAAO conference showing this off. And it was kind of forward thinking at the time.
Innovative.
But, yeah.
All right, here, I'm going to see if I can stump you. So in 97, how many parcels do you think Citrus County had at the time? Ish.
It was It was probably around like 137,000. Yeah.
So we're not too far off of that now. Then
No.
not a lot has changed.
Mm-mm.
I mean, 20,000 parcels is a lot, but
It is, but I mean, most of it was already platted, with Citrus Springs being the largest, 35,000 or so. That was already there at that time. But then, Citrus Hills and Terra Vista and all of that has come along. Well, Sugar Mill was there when I started, so I don't know when that was actually platted, but it was before me. So
that takes you into the 2000s. How many, when you got hired, and then for the next 10 years, I'm just curious, when you got hired, were you the only IT person, or was there other people in your department?
When I got hired, there was 2 COBOL programmers, which were the mainframe programmers. There was another, say, Windows or Microsoft programmer, and then myself. So there was 4 of us, and then the 2 COBOL programmers retired within a year or so, maybe 2 years.
They're like, Darren Pillsbury showed up. I don't need to be here anymore.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
That's probably what they were.
Well, they saw the writing on the wall. I mean, the mainframe was going away. We were shifting direction, and they didn't want to. I mean, they were older. They were ready. They had time to retire, and so that's kind of what happened. But
you keep saying the word mainframe, and I think of our room, the way it looks now, in just comparison, how much. I can only imagine how big those databases were compared to the things that we see. Hopefully, in this podcast, we can show you a picture of sort of what it looks like now. But like, just visually, can you kind of explain how much bigger it was then compared to what it is now?
Yeah. So the mainframe computer then was probably the size of a couple refrigerators side by side.
Oh,
yeah. And then there was a tape drive that would do backups of the system, and they were the reel-to-reel, and that was about the size of a refrigerator. And the printers were about the same size. Everything was massive.
So if you're talking about those tapes, then I would imagine with public records, you would have to store those.
We did.
You'd have to hold on to those for a number of years.
We had hundreds of them on racks in the server room.
Oh, yeah.
So when we had to submit data to the Department of Revenue, we had to send those up.
We did talk about that. I remember you said that somebody would actually, Department of Revenue, for those that are listening, that's where all of our values have to go to, and we're going to talk about that process here in a second. But now, I know it's a lot more complicated than this, but you just hit a button and that data gets sent up to Tallahassee to the Department of Revenue for them to evaluate. But I think you were telling me the other day that you would have to put it on one of those reels, and then somebody would have to drive it up to Tallahassee and drop it off.
Right.
And then they would have to.
Well, because driving it was the quickest way to get it up there versus putting it in the mail, trusting, FedEx or whatever to get it there in one piece and it not get too hot. Or
I just imagine like the Secret Service with the case, with the handcuffs tied to the suitcase, with the codes. Like, I could imagine Darren Pillsbury on his motorcycle with the case handcuffed and go. But so how long do you think it was before you didn't have to do that with the tapes, where it became more digital friendly?
I'd say late 90s. We were one of the first counties to start putting that data on CD-ROMs and mailing the CD-ROMs up there instead of the tapes.
I think what's interesting about that, so that was going on in the 90s. I feel like the Department of Revenue reaches out to us often, Lizette Kelly specifically. Hopefully we'll get, that'd be awesome to get Lizette Kelly on here for our citizens to hear from Department of Revenue. But, they reach out to us often to be kind of the first to help them learn or figure out a process of certifying tax rules. So they were even doing it then. If we were one of the first then, we're definitely one of the first now, because I know we get contacted all the time by the Department of Revenue to help them figure out processes.
We're currently helping them beta test the new portal right now, which would eliminate using an older technology now, which is FTP, transferring the files up electronically, as it's supposed to go live in 2027. In 2026, it'll be a parallel system where we send it the old way, FTP, and we're also going to send it the new way. But this week, we're actually testing the new way of moving files up to Tallahassee.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that when citizens hear millage rates and they get their trim notice or they get their tax bill or they see one of our field appraisers or data collectors go out to their house in a gray shirt, and they don't realize all the things that really happen behind the scenes.
Right.
That is the technology that all goes into play here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to make a tax roll, without a doubt, and it's not just IT. It's it all starts with customer service and phone calls and inquiries, and the field people measuring, and the GIS getting the ownership correct, and having the right address, and of course value and exemptions, and on and on and on. And then ultimately, we wrap it all up and get it where it needs to go. And
with a click of a button.
couple clicks.
A couple clicks of a button.
Yeah.
I mean, but a lot has, going back to the driving up the tape reels. I mean, a lot has changed even since then.
For sure.
What was the next big change that you probably saw technology wise that dealt with our industry?
I would say it's probably the relational database, like an Oracle database.
And what do you mean by relational?
On the mainframe, and then shortly thereafter, databases used to be more like hierarchical, where you'd have to they weren't related to each other. So you'd have, say, maybe ownership, and then you would have land, and maybe another table. With the relational database, you can link all those together with a common key.
Mm.
And it just makes dealing with data a lot easier and quicker. So the relational database was a big change for the appraisal industry as a whole, and really for the world. Everybody that uses information for anything, once the relational database came to be, that's when we had the boom of around the 2000s, the tech boom. Because everything was more accessible, easier to deal with, easier to program, and that was a big deal for the appraisal industry. It made it easier to find comps, to generate value.
So this could be fee appraiser or mass appraisal.
Absolutely. It doesn't
matter.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Any business really that uses data benefited from the relational database. Yeah.
So this is so that changed the landscape of appraisals, and now I would imagine what you're seeing in the technology world, especially, I mean, as soon as I say this, everybody in the world that listens to this is gonna be like, oh yeah, I touch it. But AI, like, so you're saying that relational data or data changed it. Then, do you think AI is going to be equally as transformational?
I would say yes, and maybe even more so. I don't think we even know the potential fully of what AI could do for our industry, much less others. But
I was speaking. I don't think you weren't in the room. We were speaking with one of the power companies a couple weeks ago, and they say they normally get 1% load growth a year, like the adding to their load. And because of AI, last year that number went from 1% to 4%, and they almost couldn't handle it. And so not only is AI dealing, I mean, so this is power companies,
right?
So I can't even imagine what it would do for a property appraiser or a fee appraiser or a mass appraisal industry.
Right. And there are companies that are trying to take advantage of the power of AI and come up with new tools for generating better values, maybe even better comps, and definitely quicker than you could do manually. The system we have currently will go out and get the comps automatically, but it does take a little bit of time to do that. But the AI, if trained correctly, could end up with you know better values. It may see trends that we just don't see yet. Things that are
And when you say the word better values, more justifiable values.
Yeah, equitable, more true to market, maybe.
Yeah, true to market. Because what I always try to tell citizens is, when we put or establish a value or place a value on a piece of property, we're not just waving a magic wand and just slapping a number on it. We're using values that are created in the market, that are established in the market, and that's what we're using. And so that word truer values, that's where that would come from.
Right. And in some of the demonstrations I've seen, the AI, when it comes to looking for trends and better values, they're looking at typically when you run a like multiple regression or any kind of statistical analysis of data, it's based on fields that already exist or variables that you create, like maybe quality grade times square foot to come up with a number, and then you use that number um, to see trends and groupings. The AI can do things based on its own parameters that aren't really hard coded or set. So it may say, we see this trend where all of these properties that are closer to this boat ramp is in higher demand than these properties that are 3 traffic lights away. So there's all this data that we don't have necessarily fields for, but the AI can interpret all of this based on time of travel and distance from certain objects or places, and it can use all of that together to come up with a what it thinks the market is.
But I think, as we've learned, would you agree, disagree, that the more the appraisal industry uses AI, the better it gets?
I would think so. I mean, it still needs to be proven and tested.
Sure.
And that's what's happening right now. I was at a conference a week or so ago, and there were people talking that were many times smarter than I am on this subject, and they would run the regression and statistics against each other, like do it old school way or current methods, and then let the AI do it. And AI didn't win every time. There were certain things that it's not quite ready for prime time, but it did a pretty good job. I mean,
Right.
it was
It's
negligible.
impressive.
Yeah.
So I would say, so it's coming.
It is.
It is coming for sure.
Well, if you look back 2 years when ChatGPT hit the market for everybody to use, at the time people were using it to write stories or write a paper for school or whatever they were going to use it for. Just think about how much that has changed in 2 years.
Oh, for sure.
So if you look out 5 years or 10 years, because now they have AI systems that are kind of training other AI systems, and it's going to be exponential growth. It's gonna be even faster than what we've seen.
Well, and you're a baseball guy. You're an athlete, and so I know that like with Statcast, like with professional baseball. I was watching the Yankees Mets game on Sunday night, and they were talking about how the pitchers um, nowadays, whereas you could get like your old pitchers from back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and they would just go out and pitch, and they were just dogs, and you had Mike Hampton from here in Citrus County. They would just go out and just throw,
right,
and they would just try to outthrow you. But now you're getting the pitchers using all this information and data, and that's why you're just seeing such precision in your pitching. And same thing with hitters, like they know what they're doing, and to watch The technology that they put I'm probably not going to call it the right thing, but the little probes all over the body, and they can sing the swing motion.
Right.
It's going to be the same in this regard, I would imagine, with establishing / creating values with AI.
Right.
That's wild. So as you creeped into so we went from the 90s to the 2000s, the teens. Like, did you see anything here at the Property Appraiser's office, or in our profession, or your profession, I should say, that kind of changed the way you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean, probably midway through, 2013 and beyond, the focus has kind of shifted from on-prem to more SaaS or cloud-based systems.
So on-prem meaning like on property?
Yes,
okay.
Where you would have your own servers, your own databases. That's just how everybody did it. And then, halfway through, like I said, 2015-ish, cloud became a thing, and more people trusted it. And now it's, most things are hosted on the cloud.
No longer need for the fridges. You don't need the fridges anymore.
Right. Now we still have on-prem servers for certain things, but there's a whole variety of services that are available through the cloud, whether it's HR systems or CAMA systems or finance or whatever. It's all out there. Yeah.
In that time frame, I believe you guys, when I say you guys, the Property Appraiser's office of that time, you were working on all of your own systems still?
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, in 2000, we launched our own version of a CAMA system.
You created it.
Yeah.
You wrote all the scripts for it.
Yep.
Housed it in-house.
Yeah. Had another developer with me. Her name was Jeanette. And then we also had a part-time retired Navy guy.
There we go, representing. Anchors up.
He would come in occasionally and help us with other things. But yeah, I mean, it took a couple years or so to get it where it was when it was in its prime, and we ran on that homegrown system from 2000 all the way through 2014.
And what was the benefit of that? What was the benefit of having an in-house system?
I mean, the main thing is you could pivot quickly. So as laws changed or projects came up, we could just, if you could dream it, we could do it. That was kind of the reason for doing it. But it was a simpler time then too. So that was before the homestead and Save Our Homes caps. It was before the commercial capping. There was only a homestead exemption. There wasn't a second homestead. It was just simpler.
Right.
And then as things, progressed and got more complicated, it was more difficult for us to keep up. But we were able to. But the writing was on the wall. I mean, I'm like, all right, there's only two of us on the planet that really know how this system works.
And Jeanette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense for us to just retire and go away and say good luck with everything.
Yeah, that'd be scary. And on that note, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe there are still property appraisers offices in the state that have their own in-house systems.
Yeah.
That if something were to happen to their IT people, guys or girls, they could be in trouble.
Short term, they would be in trouble.
Yeah. Short term.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a place I didn't want to go. And so we started thinking about, getting the office ready for the future back in 2013. And
so this is after that 06, 07, 08 kind of boom. We're kind of starting to, so 2015 you said?
Yeah.
So we're starting to level out a little bit. So it was kind of a good time for that.
It was, yeah. So that's when we transitioned from our in-house system to a cloud-based technology for the CAMA system. And that provides a lot of benefit that I won't get into,
Sure.
but easy ones are like, disaster recovery. Our data isn't really subjected to hurricanes and all the things that could happen locally.
But every department, so we have 9 departments in our organization. Every department touches that system though.
Correct. Yeah, it's very important.
And so it's, I mean, from commercial to ag to field to even the citizens in the county, they're touching it. They just don't know it.
Right. Special assessments, the public access website, the database searching, printing, all of that. Yeah, it's all tied together.
And the good thing about I don't mind saying their name. It's Tyler. Tyler is the name. Did you name your son after a camera system?
No.
He was born before then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. He has a son named Tyler. But I mean, everybody. The good thing, everybody should feel comfortable knowing that Tyler's not going anywhere.
No.
That company's going to be around forever.
They're the largest supplier of government software, and it's not just appraisal. It's finance, school systems, right. Bus clerks.
Yeah, I think they even get involved with the sheriff's office.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So you were able to see that transition from the in-house system to Tyler, which was important.
Right. We went through the whole RFP process. We interviewed and brought in 5 different vendors, and we looked at a bunch of systems, and this one was the best fit based on the technology that we had in place at the time, which was the Oracle database, and just the technology we used for reporting matched up pretty well.
And it still is.
And it still does with the Tyler technologies. Yeah.
I remember when I first took office, one of the first things you said to me was, if you get rid of Tyler, I'm leaving.
I said that?
Yeah, you did. You said that. You said that, and Dan said that, and so I'm like, okay, well, that's easy. I won't get rid of Tyler. And I didn't even know what Tyler was at the time. And now knowing how well they treat our organization, which helps us serve the citizens of Citrus County, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it's a lot. That system is big. It encompasses a lot, and our citizens should know that, man, we're getting a great bang for our buck.
Yeah, one thing that's really cool about their company and their philosophy is they have a program called Evergreen. And basically, with the ongoing maintenance, if they come up with a new enhancement, a new tool, it's automatically rolled into the system. And so it's always evolving. It's not like we bought, a 2012 car and it's just getting older all the time. No, this product evolves over time and it stays current and fresh. So that's a nice feature for sure.
Do you think Darren Pillsbury has evolved over his 30-year work anniversary for the Citrus County Property Appraiser's office was May 2nd.
Yep.
May 2nd, he was going to call in sick, which he never does. He actually was in Daytona with me. We actually, he did a workout. He didn't miss his workout. Lynn will be proud of him for that. But do you think...
We were at a work conference.
We were at a work conference. We weren't just slow walk on the beach together. It was the Florida chapter of IAAO.
Yeah.
But do you think over the 30 years, Darren, do you think you have evolved?
I would like to think so, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think here's a fun question for you. You have 4 amazing young men, 2 of them recently married. Got a wedding anniversary coming up. Do you think, how do you feel like you as the assistant property appraiser, you're also, you used to be an assistant volunteer coach for Seven Rivers, dad, husband. Do you think they're all similar? Do you think you lead the same way? Do you think you think you're that same person?
I would think so. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a tough love kind of thing. Just attack the day with integrity and, be consistent. If you say something, then you better just follow up with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you're going to hate some of the things that we're about to talk about, and that's okay, because I know you love me and you trust me, but I don't think in my 4.5 years in knowing you and knowing the people that are around you, have ever said anything negative about you. And so I think that's a testament to what the citizens have received out of your 30 years of service. And so, how do you, nope, that's not the direction I want to go with that question. What motivates you every day after 30 years to keep coming back to, to serve not only the organization, but the citizens of Citrus County?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. It's just to do a good job and make things better, more efficient. Yeah, it's it's funny because this job, and I tell people this, when they ask, but it's the same job. It's cyclical. There's a tax roll calendar, and we have to follow it. It's the same job, but it's different, and it's different because of the change inserted by new laws, statutes, technology, people. So it's the same job, but it's always changing, and that keeps it fresh.
Right.
Otherwise, if I was just making widgets, I probably would have tapped out long before 30 years.
Like a finger widget?
Yes.
Yeah, I probably need one of those. So the technology is changing, but so are the people. So meaning the employees.
Mm-hmm.
And over your 30 years, you've seen a number of employees. Does the three, I say newer employees, you've had one back there for a while, Edwin Abbey. You just got Josh Smart a couple of years ago, and Tom a couple of years ago. Do you think that gives you some relief that the property appraiser's office is going to be in good hands in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you have to surround yourself with good people,
Right.
and that's what we try and do, right? And you've talked about this before too, but always be ready to replace yourself.
Sure.
Be training and pouring into others, because stuff happens, right? You never know what can happen. So,
what do you enjoy more, being an IT guru or the first base coach of Seven Rivers Baseball?
Well, that's not even the same. That's not even fair.
I just figured it'd be fun. Like I always tell, I run into Mike Rosenhan every once in a while. I'm like, man, I just want to be your catch can man. I think that'd be fun. He likes to race cars.
Yeah.
So I think I would like third. I don't think I can be the third base coach. That's a lot of pressure because like if you're going to score or not.
Well, no,
but I could be the first base coach. That'd be easy.
Yeah, third base coach, you're
that's a lot.
Sending signs and to the batter, and whether to steal or not steal.
So were you the first base coach or the third?
I was the first base coach.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, and the dugout coach a lot of times. I would sit on the bucket and send in pitches and stuff like that. Yeah,
because your boys were pitchers, right, and catchers.
Yeah. Yep, pitchers and catchers.
Pitchers and catchers.
Yep.
Wow, that's a good thing. So you're not going to give the answer. Which one's more fun?
I kind of forgot what the question was.
The question was, what do you have more fun at, being the IT guru at the property appraiser's office or the first base coach for Seven Rivers?
I mean, if you're talking fun, coaching is probably more fun, but I enjoy this job, if that's what you're asking.
You do enjoy it, and I can tell you that it's always, for at least like I said, my 4.5 years, it is. We know what we're going to get. I know what I'm going to get from Darren Pillsbury every day, and that's your best effort. And so, what is some things that the property appraiser's office or the property appraiser's industry have to look forward to in the future? Do you have any foresight of what that may look like?
Generally speaking,
yeah, just generally. Do you think AI is the change? Do you think? I'm just trying to think of some things that could be different that maybe our residents could maybe look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the technology change. Even though we think, wow, we've come a long way in 30 years, we may have that same amount of change in 5. I mean, the AI is going to really change not only the appraisal industry, but every industry, really.
So I sent you some questions a couple days ago, so we're going to hit some of those because now we do some like random rapid fire questions. So, okay. What leadership qualities are essential when your decisions impact homeowners and businesses directly?
Well, I mean, every decision is going to impact others, right? So, one of the things that I've always told my guys that work for me in the IT department is it's kind of the like the Spider-Man proverb. With great power comes great responsibility. So
wow, you went deep with that one.
Yeah. So, with IT, you have access to a lot of things, which means you have access to kind of screw up a lot of things or mess up. So you have to have, good judgment, and that's what I stress to the guys. I say guys because I don't have any females.
Yeah,
back
Jeanette's
there.
gone. She
Yeah.
left you.
But guys generically is
Sure.
what I'm saying. You have to have good judgment because if you let your guard down and you're not focused, you could mess up a lot of things, which has a ripple effect, which would directly affect not only the citizens, the website, the data, whatever, but it could affect, the BOCC, clerk, other agencies that use our data would be impacted.
So let's talk about that, right? The ripple effect of that. So we're about to get into submitting of the values.
Right.
So June 1st, depending on when you watch this, June 1st, we have to, by statute, send the estimated tax values to the taxing authorities. And then July 1st, we submit the real numbers, the real data. And then we start moving on to next year, way before the workshops happen, before the millage rates are established by the taxing authorities. Not you specifically, but your department, you really work hand in hand with Dan, the assistant property appraiser over values, to work on those numbers. And so going back to the tax roll department that I almost forgot, you will be sending all that stuff electronically. And
Right.
so we're going to be meeting in the coming days over the values that for every parcel in the county, not just one, not just Inverness or not just Crystal River, but Ozella or Red Level or Laurel City, and so it's a whole package when we're looking at that, and so that ripple effect that if the IT department's not on their game, then the taxing authorities don't get their numbers at all, and we don't want to be wrong. And I think that's what I love about you and your department is that you take great pride and great precision in being right. And not only are you checking it, but you're checking it twice. You're checking it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, because we cannot be wrong in this.
Right.
And the Department of Revenue holds us to a pretty high standard that I think a lot of individuals don't understand. That again, we're not just sitting in a room putting numbers on things. The Department of Revenue justifies them, and so that's a good thing. Let's see what else we got for you, Darren. What advice would you give your younger self knowing what you know now? So 30 years ago, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh boy.
And as you think about that, so we've posted some vacant field appraiser positions, and I can tell you there's a lot of younger people looking for careers, maybe fresh out of the Air Force, married to a nurse, and they're looking at getting into a career and possibly with the Citrus County Property Appraiser's office. Is there anything that you would tell your younger self?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because when I applied for this job way back when, I'm so old that, the job was posted in the newspaper, in the classified ads.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the Chronicle.
In the Chronicle.
Our friends at the Citrus County Chronicle.
That's right. Yeah, so I didn't know what the property appraiser's office was even all about at the time. I just knew it was an IT position that I was going to go check out. But yeah, I mean, for anybody that's looking for a career, this is a good place. I mean, because you could start in one department and end up completely different in another, and there's so much to learn and so much to do. It's a fantastic place to work.
Plus, they have fun bosses, right?
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear. That's what we hear. All right, so this is a good one. What is your vision for the department you lead now, and what is your vision for that department after you leave? When you retire, you ride off into the sunset. You and Lynn are riding your motorcycles across the country. what is going to make Darren Pillsbury smile knowing that he accomplished?
I guess now it's you know, getting the office ready, getting it as advanced as we can get it. Best practices, latest, software to be in a good position to leverage the new technology. And then the other part of that would be just pouring into people and getting them ready for when I do retire. Get it to the point where they won't even miss me is my goal.
Well, you were good until you said that last part. I think this organization is definitely going to miss you. I'm going to tell a couple of things, and then I think we're going to put a pretty bow on this thing. But I remember one of my fun stories about Darren. You were I was new. I was the new property appraiser, and people just love calling the property appraiser when the website's down, and because everybody uses it, everybody raves about our website, about our system, and that's a testament to you and your IT department, and Rick Fritz and the GIS department. You guys do a phenomenal job. Every time Megan and I go out in the community, that's all everybody raves about, and so. But so this one Saturday, I get a call. Craig, for that person's freaking out. I can't do my job. Your website's down. And so I'm like in a panic. And I'm like, all right, I will get it figured out. And so I texted you and I said, hey, man, website's down. I don't even know what time it was. It had to be in the morning. And I said, hey, the website's down. And you're like, all right, I'm on it, or something to that accord. And then like an hour later, you're like, hey, website's back up. And so I called the person, super excited that I was able to solve their problem. Able to solve their problem. I don't even know what they were doing with it, but you fixed it. And then on Monday, and I'm like, man, I asked you about it, and you informed me that you were actually fishing. You were in the boat on the water fishing, catching probably largemouth bass in Lake Henderson. But you left, and I'm like, well, how did you fix that on the water? You're like, I didn't. I went in and I went into the office and got it fixed. And so there's no doubt in my mind that you probably have done that for 30 years, and you'll do whatever it takes to help the property appraiser's office be the best version of itself. I can tell you in my 4.5 years, this is a perfect example that you have supported my vision and our vision of being more transparent out in the community, and I'm forever grateful for that. I think one of the greatest things that I think is a testament to you as well is I asked you several months ago what we needed to do in the future to help you walk away with a smile on your face, and you said, I want to get obviously the IT department where it needs to be, but you said I want to spend time with all the other departments. I want to spend time with the people at the property appraiser's office so I can help them better do their jobs. And you weren't very specific about tax roll or GIS or deeds. You said every department.
Right.
And that means a lot to me because I believe that there's a lot that our staff can learn from you. A lot of people will know that I wrote an article. Again, this is going to be something you don't like talking about. I wrote an article about you that was in the paper and in the Chronicle May 3rd. The Chronicle put that in there called Quiet Leadership. And I talked about you. And I think the world needs more quiet leaders like you. I know that for 30 years, you've done a great job at our property appraiser's office. And I hope he's here for another 30 years. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Lynn's going to let that happen. But any amount of time that we get with you is going to be great. I know that you've made me a better property appraiser because of you. I know our office is better because of you. Our values are better because of you. I know we're meeting tomorrow morning, and you're going to be in there, and you're going to help us get these values, and so the taxing authorities can do their role. But Darren, I really appreciate you walking us through the last several decades of our office and the changes and how and why your department is so important to the citizens, property owners of Citrus County. So I'm gonna leave this up to you. What's the last thing you want to end us with? Anything?
Oh boy.
Any notes of wisdom? You throwing out some good quotes today. I'm very surprised. Anything good that you like to throw out there?
Oh man, put me on the spot with that
I
one.
know.
Yeah,
It's the elephant in the room.
it's the elephant in
It's
the
the
room.
elephant in
Yeah.
the room.
Not really. I mean, just I've enjoyed my time here.
Yeah.
And not that I'm leaving,
No.
you know,
No time soon.
but it kind of feels like, saying goodbye or something. But no, it's
Just for episode 1.
yeah,
Because
episode 1.
this is important.
Yeah,
You're the first guest on the CCPA Playbook.
Yeah,
I hope it feels good.
it does. It's an honor.
You've done a great job.
Yeah.
Well, you could say like happy anniversary, Lynn.
Yeah, happy anniversary. 36 years.
What 36 years?
Yeah.
What when is it? When was your anniversary? Let's tell the
Oh
world.
gosh. June 24th, I think.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I just got in trouble. We did great the whole time. Well, Darren, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you bring to our organization and to the citizens of Citrus County. And we, again, hope that everybody has a safe Memorial Day weekend. We look forward to episode 2. Please share, like, comment on this. We really look forward to bringing you more information about the Property Appraiser's Office, along with many other employees from our organization, other professional industries around the country. We're also going to bring you some other community leaders from within Citrus County. We really just want you to know more about what the Property Appraiser's Office does, how it impacts you, the citizen, and maybe it'll help you become more knowledgeable and understand what we do. And so I hope today you go out and say something nice to somebody, change somebody's life, and just have a great Memorial Day. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day.